Well, we started to do the Cliburn competition back in 1989 for PBS, and that frankly that competition has been going on. It's coming up on its 50th anniversary in 2012. It started in '62, 4 years after Van Cliburn became world famous by winning the Tchaikovsky competition in the middle of the Cold War, and that's a whole other story that we did for A&E actually years ago. So we started the first one in '89, which is more than 20 years ago, and have done it not every 4 years. They've kind of tried some other producers, but then they keep coming back to me to do it. Mm-hmm. So this was just the fifth one we've done, and it was a little bit different this past May and June because as you know, there was a tie for first place, and one of the winners was a blind boy from Tokyo, 20-year-old, blind from birth. And I knew as soon as he showed up in Fort Worth, like a week before the competition, that I just was going to take my little digital camera like this one and just carry it around and just stay with him every day for about a month. Because if he did win or did well or wasn't eliminated until, say, closer to the end of it, I just knew there was a story there that was, really much more broader and more interesting to a much larger audience than just the usual piano competition documentary. So I was kind of very familiar with how the whole thing works and what you have to do to kind of psych out who the winners could be. So you have to know that ahead of time. You have to use, you need a crystal ball to kind of figure that out, because you can't have 30 young people come from all over the world. And they are the top 30 young pianists in the world. They're selected in years of just preliminary judging and all of that. But you can't afford 30 camera crews and have a crew on each person, which would be the only insurance policy you could have, that you would have good documentary about the winner. So you have to guess, and this time we only had 3 camera crews. So out of 30 people, actually 29, somebody dropped out, but for 29 artists, we had to figure out who was going to shoot who and when. And I think my experience now in doing it for so many times, we sort of had a good feel from the first round, the first 3 weeks, and so first round, second round, third round. In the first round, we could sort of figure out who we really wanted to focus on. I mean, there's something about the story that's a natural that works, because you have people you root for, and you feel really bad when they get eliminated, and you feel really, really good when somebody you're rooting for goes all the way through and wins. So
that's how I heard James Faust explain. He said, "Well, it's a sports film, but they're playing piano."
Yeah, no, that's true. This is like This is like the Olympics of the piano, and all the techniques that NBC has kind of designed about how you kind of get people involved in each character is a good lesson. That's what you have to do. Mm-hmm. It's just a natural, organic thing that happens when you're editing. Music comes in here. I mean, it's all a matter of just kind of your intuition about how to tell the story and how to use music. The tricky thing about this kind of film, because it's about classical music as opposed to, say, a rock concert or rap or something like that, which has its built-in audience and the kids are going to stay with it no matter how long it is that with classical music, there's a big part of the audience that could get bored very quickly if you just put on a piece of music. Today's 20-year-old is not going to sit in the theater and watch a whole Beethoven, concerto played. So the balance between giving the audience and just enough music so they feel that there's, they getting the emotional impact from it, but without losing the storyline. Because if music is, say, 30 seconds long, and it works, if it was 35 seconds long, there's a point where the audience has kind of tuned out of the story about that person who's playing. And you're thinking, well, I'm just watching performance. So it was really tricky in something like Surprise in Texas, where we had a lot of music in it, but not that much music that you really feel is, okay, so let's sit back and listen to this person play now. Because this festival is sort of in a state of transition, it's hard to really figure out who's here and who isn't here. I think it's very well run compared to some festivals where filmmakers show up, and like CineQuest in San Francisco, you show up, nobody's there to tell you where to go or what to do, and that's sort of typical of a lot of them. On the other hand, there's some beautifully run festivals like Woodstock in Seattle. Obviously, Sundance knows the ropes. We've kind of kept this film away from some of the others where I think a documentary like this could get lost in the festival, like Tribeca. Has some great films, and it's right in my hometown. But I wouldn't bring the film to Tribeca because it's a kind of offbeat, kooky kind of screen. Films are there, and you don't know really where you would fit in something like that. So I think Dallas, whether they're distributors here or not, there's good press here, and you just basically want to get a buzz out. You want people to recognize the title of the film down the road. So when you do go to television, the only way you get some people to watch something on PBS, because they don't have the money to do promotion or advertising, unless you have a sponsor who's going to take an ad in the New York Times and the LA Times, nobody's going to watch your show on television unless there's been a theatrical release, so there's press in every city that it opens in. And again, amongst the public, for everybody who goes to see a documentary in a theater, there are 100 other people who then know about it but haven't gone, but who will tend to watch it on television, just because the word spreads about it, or they read about it, or see something in the press about it.